As has become tradition, the annual numismatic calendar was kicked off in style this year with the New York International Numismatics Convention, and Heritage Auctions was there to host this signature world and ancient coins auction. The auction delivered on its promise and saw coins worth over $15 million cross the auction block over the two-day event. The Dutch Ducaton, or Silver Rider coins as they have become known, owing to the mounted and cuirassed rider on the obverse design, has become one of the most widely known and sought-after coins of the period. However, as the name implies, the Silver Rider coin is usually struck in silver, so this gold coin of this same design immediately grabs the attention. Although it is not unheard of, as there are several other known examples, they were most likely made as patterns or to be used as presentation pieces. The impeccably preserved condition of this coin might suggest the latter, as the Proof 64 grade from NGC would attest to. Another, perhaps interesting anecdote concerning this coin is that the odd weight, as noted by NGC, of 40.15 grams, as other known examples of this type usually weigh 37.8 or even 40.2 grams instead. As the undeniable headline act of the auction, the coin secured a final price of $336,000. And speaking of rare off-metal varieties, I present a Charles II crown struck once again in gold. This impressive coin is a sight to behold, obviously struck with the greatest of care, with every aspect of the fine die work being clearly discernible. Given to flights of fancy, one might even imagine this coin being presented to the beleaguered king himself. Although, sticking strictly to the facts, the Alex Wilson and Mark Rasmussen reference on the subject identifies a total mintage of 6 coins for this gold issue, although how many of those may have survived to this day seems unclear. Based on that, it is not difficult to see why this 1663 off-metal crown, authenticated by PCGS at a grade of Proof 58, was sold for $288,000, as it represents one of the more interesting and certainly scarce numismatic specimens of the English Restoration period. And then we shift our attention to one of the best known and most beloved British gold coins of all time, in the form of the Una and the Lion quintuple sovereign, a coin which is widely lauded as one of, if not the most beautiful British coin ever produced by the Royal Mint in its 1,000-year history, struck and issued in 1839 to commemorate the coronation and inception of the young Queen Victoria's reign. This, along with the so-called Gothic crown design, which would follow nearly a decade later, remains as the crowning achievement in the career of engraver William Wyon. This lettered edge 1839 gold £5 coin achieved the grade of Proof 62 plus with a deep cameo designation from PCGS and sold for $264,000. Then, almost as if to bookmark Queen Victoria's reign, there is this 1887 Golden Jubilee £5 coin in glorious proof, to commemorate 50 years since her accession to the throne. An absolutely unmatched specimen with a deep cameo designation from NGC to accompany the grade of Proof 66, making it easily the finest known example of its kind, which has a total mintage of only 797 coins, a fact reflected in the final price of $156,000 as well. Now, historical 5 guinea coins have seldomly wanted for attention, but this coin simply demands more than its fair share on several fronts. For one, the 1741 over 38 5 guinea from the reign of George II is already a comparably well-known variety for the 1741 issue of the coin. But stack on top of that the MS64 star grade from NGC, meaning that there are no finer known examples of this in the population report. And what you have is a showpiece coin to be added to only the finest of British gold coin collections for the, shall we say, princely sum of $240,000. Having earlier briefly mentioned William Wyand's work, the current piece was his response to the Great British Recoinage of 1816, in the form of a pattern for the proposed new 5-shilling coin. Around 50 or so coins were struck, and unfortunately the design was never put into circulation, with the mint choosing to go with Pastrusi's St. George defeating the dragon design instead. A masterful design on its own right, to be sure, but as it already appears on the sovereign, a little bit of variety for the crown wouldn't have done the mint in, is all I'm saying. Wyand's allegorical design represents Ireland, England, and Scotland as the mythical three graces joined in a familiar embrace with the Latin legend translating as an unbreakable treaty, truly a depiction of a united kingdom. This coin was graded by NGC as proof 64 plus cameo and fell under the auctioneer's gavel for $204,000. As far as Asian coins fared at the auction, there were no finer offerings on display than this famed 1907 small clouds pattern of the one-tail piece from the reign of the Guangzhou Emperor. This exquisitely rare pattern coin was graded by PCGS as SP61 and changed hands at the auction for $102,000. Now, one coin with certainly a rich history and fascinating story to tell is this 12 guilders piece, issued in Pernambuco in 1646 during the Dutch occupation of that portion of Brazil in direct defiance to the Portuguese colonists at the time. The obverse bears the denomination in Roman numerals as well as the stylized logo of the Geoctrieerde West-Indische Compagnie, or the Dutch West India Company, who essentially monopolized trade and shipping routes in the area to a very large extent, and as such acted much as a law unto itself at times. But back to the coin, which was essentially a type of emergency or occupation currency that was outlawed after the Dutch were eventually driven from the area about a decade or so after this coin was struck, and was never considered legal tender really anywhere else. Graded by NGC at a grade of MS62, it came as no surprise when this item was sold for $55,200. And I just realized that really, with the exception of the Three Graces crown, I've been dealing pretty much exclusively with gold coins this entire time. So by ways of something a little bit different, in the form of this aluminium 5-cent coin. This coin was intended for use in Japanese occupied areas of the Dutch East Indies territories during the Second World War, issued in 1943. However, most of these were retained and simply melted down towards the end of or after the war had ended. This specific coin is actually a proof trial strike of that same issue, making it all the more rare indeed. Graded by NGC as proof 64 Ultra Cameo, the coin saw a closing price of $28,800 by the final strike of the gavel. Now, if you're looking for something different, you can't get much different than this. A 1985 Canadian National Parks $100. This era coin was very obviously double struck to dramatic effect. The fact that the coin exists is perhaps not too much of a surprise to era specialists, but the fact that it somehow made it out of the mint to begin with is astonishing, given the fact that it is a commemorative coin and not a circulating one. Add to that the stringent quality assurance measures surrounding both gold and commemorative coins, and this piece should rightfully have been detained by the mint and melted down. However, it managed to escape, found its way into an NGC holder with a grade of proof 68 Ultra Cameo, and passed the auction block for $19,200. Out of that, and to conclude this video, let's take a small detour down under and take a look at a few interesting Australian coins. And one of the more interesting ones is this 1852 £1 coin from the Government Assay Office in Adelaide. This coin is essentially the Australian equivalent of Californian gold, with Adelaide being ideally situated to take advantage of the gold rush that took place in South Australia at the time. You'll notice that on the reverse, The N in 1 is not completely struck up. This is not as a result of wear or damage, but rather as a combination of a flan crack running from the center straight through to the rim of the coin, and a defective planchet preventing the detail from fully striking up. And if I'm being completely honest, the photos that you're seeing right now just simply do not do the coin justice. Indeed, NGC saw fit to grade the coin at MS63, and at auction it managed to raise $18,600. And then, in conclusion, as anyone with even a passing knowledge of Australian numismatics would be aware, one of the most sought after coins, especially for those interested in the pre-decimal series, surely has to be the near legendary 1930 penny. The most often quoted mintage figure for this coin is 3,000 pieces, although more contemporary research has severely brought that into question. But that is a subject for an entire video unto itself. At any rate, it is sure that this is a very rare coin, and one that is on the wish list of many a collector, one of which was willing to part ways with $14,400 at the auction in order to obtain this PCGS graded VF30 example for their collection. So that's largely it for the world coins offered at the New York International Numismatics Convention's signature auction. Let me know which was your favorite in the comment section below. Subscribe to WNN and activate notifications with the bell icon to be notified of any new videos as they are released. For the world numismatic news, I am Numisman saying thank you ever so much for watching, keep collecting, and have a great day.